Here on the East Coast, and good afternoon and good evening for those of you who are elsewhere. Welcome to our conversation about Bentley's Master in Finance program. I am Emma Emmer, Director of Strategic Programs here at Bentley, and I am thrilled to be joined by a set of much more interesting than me panelists to talk about the Masters in Finance. I'd love to start by introducing them and asking them to introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive into a conversation about the Masters in Finance. After that, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A. So I hope folks on the line will use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to let us know what you're curious about as you listen to us and listen to the conversation. After we talk about the Masters in Finance, we will have some time to talk about the admissions and application process, and then we'll answer any questions you have about that process specifically. And so with that, I'd love to start by hearing who the folks on my screen and your screen are. Florin, if you don't mind starting by introducing yourself.
My name is Florin Morrison. I have a background in the industry, spent quite some time in the industry, on Wall Street, on the buy side, on the sell side. Lately, over the last few years, I've been mostly teaching spent my time mostly teaching at Bentley. I teach derivatives in international finance. I also am the director of the Master of Science in Finance program.
Wonderful. And Eddie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Sure. So thanks for having me here. My name is Eddie. I graduated from Bentley University in December 2023, and I'm currently a senior financial analyst at Salary.com, and doing all the mergers, acquisitions, some financial planning, financial modeling. So it's my pleasure to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. And Kyle, if you could introduce yourself too.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Bondino. I'm one of the Senior Assistant Directors of Graduate Admissions. I'm Florin's partner in graduate admissions, so I help to oversee the application process for anyone interested in the finance program. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. I am part of your support structure.
Awesome. Well, it is an absolutely wonderful support structure and community here at Bentley, particularly surrounding our Masters in Finance. And so I'm thrilled to tell you all a little bit about the program. And so, as I said, we're going to be having a conversation this morning. But for those of you who kind of like a spoiler alert, I'm going to point out 4 things about the Masters of Science in Finance here at Bentley that I really want you to be thinking about as you listen to our conversation. The first part of the conversation I really want you to be focused on is Bentley's MSF is very purposefully designed to integrate theory and practice for you. So you're going to hear Florin and Eddie talk a lot about how the program, how the curriculum ensures that you understand the fundamentals of finance, but also get a chance to do hands-on work and experiential learning that forwards your understanding of those concepts. Part of what really allows for that to be successful here at Bentley is you have access to all the most advanced tools, all the ability to specialize and ensure that you're getting a chance to try the things that you want to do to help you decide where you want to go in your career. We're going to talk a lot about our training room. I know Eddie was part of our Bentley investment group, so we can talk about that. And we want to make sure you're really thinking about how you can take all of that kind of advanced knowledge, all of that ability to specialize to ensure that you're moving in the right direction for your career. As I mentioned, most of you are probably here thinking about an MSF because you either want to launch or advance your career in the finance field, and Bentley is really well positioned to help you do that. We're located here in Boston, where there is an extraordinarily booming finance industry. Our faculty are very tapped into industry and can help you kind of path your way into the right places. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how someone like Eddie decided to land at salary.com after doing his MSF. The other thing I just want to point out is certainly we have a global aperture here at Bentley, and we can talk about that too. A number of our tracks are STEM designated, and the idea of that kind of the analytical rigor of our programs is meant to launch you into the career you're looking for on an international stage. The one last thing I will say before starting to talk to Florin and Eddie is I do want to point out that Bentley was recently named the #1 MSF in the United States by the Financial Times. Now, I come from a background, I will say, where you can say, hey, I don't know, what does ranking even mean? What does it mean to be the #1 program in the US? And I will say, I think the Financial Times ranking is really meaningful because the way that you get ranked there is you look at things like the salary increase of those who have graduated, or what percent of people are employed after 3 months of graduation. They also look at this idea of value for the money. And Bentley ranks really highly on all of those features, which I think really speak to the kind of career launching aspect of this program. And I think that's where this ranking becomes really, really meaningful. And so throughout our conversation, I hope you all will be thinking about all those features and kind of why Bentley is ranked #1 as you consider our program. And so, Florin, I'd love to start with you as the program director here. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the curriculum, particularly the different ways people can specialize here at Bentley. And why is that important as they consider their career and why, what they're learning here at Bentley?
One interesting thing about the, this business of finance, about the finance industry, is that one can be successful in industry with a variety of background. There is a wide diversity of types, backgrounds that one can have and be successful in finance. If you are into number crunching, really doing mathematical models and whatnot, obviously there is a role for you. If you are more into making sure all the ducks are in the row and everything is according to the rules, maybe there is a role for you in compliance. If you are the type of person who likes to interact, to spend a lot of time, to socialize, to interact with people, of course, there is a role in financial advising, in wealth management, in sales. So we try to accommodate in our program all these types of candidates. We have the general Master of Science in program. We have one which is highly specialized to number crunching, Master of Science in financial analytics. We recently introduced one which is focusing on financial planning and wealth management. And to stay in step with the times, with the evolution of the industry, we launched a program in finance and technology, also called fintech. So it's a quite broad spectrum of paths that you can follow based on your background. And I strongly encourage you to follow your strengths. Don't try to force yourself to go in a certain industry, in a certain area, just because you heard that there are more money to be made in that area. In general, that's probably not true. You can raise anywhere in any field as long as you put to work your natural advantages. And at Bentley, we try to help you find what your path is, and also develop the skills that you need. It so happens that we have an advantage being close to Boston, right? It's one, there are potential internships and jobs in the Boston area. We also draw from the pool of semi-retired or still working, but trying to go into into teaching professionals who work in the area, and thus we can afford a balanced faculty group, roughly 0.5% of the faculty are coming from the industry, and half are rose through the normal academic process, research, the normal path. You can benefit from both, and I think it's a great combination. And you'd be well advised. I mean, obviously, you'll benefit from interacting with such a diverse group of people who are both entrenched into research and in the practical aspects of the industry.
Yeah, Eddie, I'd love this is great. And Florin, you made two really important points there. And Eddie, I want to dig into both of them with you as someone who's gone through the program. The first is I'd love to talk about specialization. So as Florin said, there are 4 different paths you can take here at Bentley to specialize within the MSF. My recollection, Eddie, is that you chose the financial analytics path. And so I would love to talk a little bit about why you chose that, and then how has that benefited you in your career path. And then, and I'll ask it again so you don't have to remember, I'd love to dig into what Florin is talking about our faculty. And there's a lot of connection between our students and our faculty that span both kind of those, as Florin said, that come from an academic background and those who have been practitioners themselves. And so I want to dig into that idea a little bit too. But let's start by talking about specialization. So Eddie, tell us, why did you choose the financial analytics path? And then how has that kind of helped you transition into your role at salary.com?
Cool. So I so during my time, so I was a double Falcon. So I took both my bachelor degree and my master's degree at Bentley University. So during my time, there's a program called Advanced Studying Finance program. So that's why I got into the MSF program by combining master's degree with my bachelor degree. So that was a very interesting experience. And the reason why I chose the specialization in financial analytics is first, I think a combination of finance and quantitative skills is really important as the industry is expanding into using quantitative analysis as a fundamental to support of your financial decisions. So that's really important. And I think applying the analytics and quantitative skills to everything, like not just finance, but literally everything, can be really helpful, especially in this time when AI has really become a very interesting topic. And to equip yourself with a little bit of quantitative skills so you can use AI and also understand what AI, the fundamentals and background of how AI is functioning, is really important. So during my time, I don't think we have a fintech specialization during that
Not
time, but
yet.
that looks very interesting. But the reason why I choose financial analytics is like primarily because I'm very interested in combining finance, which is more like an art rather than science, with a science part, which is the analytics. So, and another reason is I'm also an international student, so I believe some of the participants here are also very interested in the STEM designated degree. So that's why I think financial analytics major path specialization or the fintech path is really interesting. So you can take all the classes and also be qualified as a STEM designated degree. So yeah.
That makes sense. And Eddie, I think, tell me a little bit, as I said, in kind of a second question about your relationship with faculty. So for
Mhm.
those on the line, Eddie was actually recommended as part of this conversation by one of our faculty members, Steve Wasserman, and he shared what a wonderful student Eddie was. And Steve knew Eddie really well. And I'm curious, Eddie, I'm sure your relationship with Steve is one thing and you may have a relationship with others. I'd
Yeah.
love for you to talk a little bit about what it looked like in the classroom, having a relationship with faculty and how they supported your growth here at Bentley.
Yeah. So I do have a lot of story to share, like related to connections and how people, faculties, my friends, and also other members from Bentley support me throughout the journey. But talking specifically about like taking the class and build a relationship with the professors or faculty members, it's very easy. So the faculty and professors are very willing to share their knowledge in the industry, and also they're willing to listen to you, which is a very important factor because you are able to share what you think about the industry, about the different economics situation, or things like that. Or like, for example, Professor Morrison here can talk a little bit more about derivatives or something like that. So you can really share what you think about the industry, what you think about the overall macroeconomics with faculty members. And the faculty members will listen to you and provide you with their advice and their real life industry knowledge. So I think I like being in a classroom. I think Bentley is really project oriented compared, which is more real life oriented rather than exam oriented. So that's why during my time, I had the experience to work on different projects, which are very real life oriented. For example, the financial modeling, although a real company, not just a fake company, and also value a company based on their financial data in Bloomberg and FactSet. So you have to be like a real analyst or something, or a very professional person to actually pull the financial information and then run the analytics and apply the Excel skills and also the financial skills you have in order to achieve or complete the project. But during that time, you actually behave like a professionals. So you can actually work around with numbers, work around with faculty members, and talk through your logics with your professor and faculty members. So that's how I built my relationship, because I really run the financial modeling from a bottom-up analysis, and I talk every steps I run with Professor Wasserman. So yeah, but to summarize everything, I think it's really easy to build a relationship with faculties and professors at Bentley, and they're willing to share and they're willing to listen to you.
Yeah, and I think, Eddie, you just opened up kind of an insight into the classroom. So Florin, I'd love to jump off of that and talk a little bit about, as someone who teaches the course in derivatives or someone who oversees the entire program, help us understand how courses, as Eddie is sharing, leverage kind of the most current information about what's happening in the industry, how courses are leveraging all the resources that Bentley offers. I know that you teach a lot of your coursework in the trading room, and so I would love for you to share a little bit about how is our faculty intersecting with all of these different resources, so that someone like Eddie is having the experience he's describing.
I happen to teach in the trading room. Actually, I love to teach in the trading room because we have all that information right at our fingertips. I mean, we have Bloomberg, we have all the resources in the trading room, FactSet, all state of the art. They are not different from what I guess Ed is having them right now at his job. It's not different from what I had when I was working in the industry. And what I find beautiful about teaching finance is that you handle a really fresh case study. This is not some 10-year-old situation that happened long ago. For every class that I teach, I could find in the news of the day something that's relevant to the subject taught on that particular day. And make a connection and make it relevant and make it alive. The benefit, other huge. I mean that's one benefit of having faculty coming from the industry, because they are still plugged into what's going on. They have a certain way of talking about events. They have certain opinions about those events, and if you engage them, you're going to hear a lot from them. Not always right, because the market is a complicated mechanism, but at least you'll learn how to think about things and how it is being done in the industry. Moreover, all students at Bentley, everybody has access to resources such as Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, they're automatic. The Economist, Bloomberg.com, as well as to the most of the resources in the trading room, FactSet, Capital IQ, and everything else. Projects are drawn from real life examples, and many faculty in class also, as I mentioned, um, talk about current events. In general, that there is a saying that if you compare finance with poetry, events in history do not repeat, but at least they rhyme. And we make connections to today's events and try to position what happened in the past and try to infer from their guess what's gonna happen next. Um, I like to ask in classroom a lot of basic questions. Okay, so you go to the job interview and the teacher is asking you, the interviewer is asking you that. How are you going to answer, right? Or be careful. This type of question kind of kills the interview if you don't know the answer. It's so basic that from the point of view of a practitioner, that you're going to be in big trouble. You ruin your interview. You can have, for example, the question, so where are the interest rates today? Okay, I say it's a trivia question, right? I did all sorts of problem sets and the teacher would give me what the interest rates are and I just plug in the formula, right? But for somebody who works in the industry, the reaction is totally different. Says, look, I ask you where the rates are. You give me this attitude that you don't care, where it's a trivia question. But I do not sleep at night because of these rates, right? I really know where they are, right? So we encourage students to develop this ability to talk shop during the interviews. And it's not something you can cram learning from the textbooks. Textbooks are great. Of course, you have to get good grades, but you have to spend time, listen to people from the industry, from Bloomberg, from different publications, talk shop, right? You develop it by participating in Bentley Investment Group, by going to this seminar, fireside chats. That's how you learn. And some of these questions are so obvious to somebody in the street, like what color is the snow? If you have to stop and figure out what color the snow is, you kind of sure you don't belong in a sense, right? They're going to pick somebody else. So that would be the advantages, I would say, of interacting with faculty who has this dual background, heavy research and also industry. And also, there is a benefit. The school is not that large. You're not just one random item in a huge data set. The school is not that large, and you kind of know most of the teachers. You kind of know most of your colleagues, and there is a benefit. I mean, students learn from each other as well.
Very much. And Eddie, I'd love to hear from your perspective. Florin just mentioned a ton of different ways you can learn to talk shop here at Bentley. It can be from, projects that you can do. It can be from outside of the classroom, kind of Bentley investment group type activities. It could be from just connecting with your fellow classmates, and talking shop. I'd love to hear from your perspective a couple of examples of things that have really benefited you as you hit the ground running in your career. Meaning, were there any projects that you're like, man, I'm so glad I did that at Bentley because it really helped me be successful here? Or I'm really glad I participated in X because it really got me ready either for my interview process or my actual role.
Yeah, definitely. So I think from my perspective, there are a lot of people asking, oh, what has Bentley benefit you the most? Is that the quantitative skills or is that more connections or something like that? So my answer will always be, I think the experience I have at Bentley give me an opportunity to become my better self. So it's very comprehensive experience because I can talk with people, which is very like-minded. So I can talk with faculty to learn from their experience. And when I'm confused or when I'm struggling with which career path I'm going to take, I can always find a person to express my concerns and talk everything with him or with her, and also or with the professors, with the faculty members. So that's the experience I had at Bentley. So it's a very small campus. You literally know, I can say like 50 to 80% of everyone in there. So you can so my experience, for example, when I was working at the trading room, so I know Professor Morrison loves to teach at trading room, and also trading room is a place that is opening for all the students. So if you're really into finance, you can literally visit trading room during lunch break or something. So every time I was sitting at the trading room, I always find someone who are willing to talk with me. So when they take a look at my screen, I have different financial information opening on the screen. They're going to ask about, oh, what do you think about the interest rate? And how do you like this company? The conversation can start with a very simple question, but this is the conversation you can have at Bentley because people are like-minded people and they're willing to share their perspective and listen to your perspective. So building a connection, and also like, for example, Bentley Investment Group as well, when you're presenting in front of 100 or 200 people with your investment thesis or your analysis, that really builds your confidence and also your public speaking skills. And also by putting all the analysis together, you build quantitative skills. So it's a very comprehensive experience at Bentley. You can become your better self by talking with people, share with people, listen to people, and also equip yourself with better quantitative and analytic skills.
Awesome. Well, Florin, I'm going to ask you one last question before we talk a little bit about the admissions process and we learn from our audience what they're curious about, which is, as you said, the finance industry shifts and changes every day, but we're also in this kind of major shift with, as Eddie was talking about, the advent of AI. And you talked a lot about how we're pulling in current industry trends and things into the classroom, but I'd love to hear from your perspective, how is the program and the faculty thinking about the changing world of finance, and how is that being integrated into the coursework that students might be able to access or the conversations they're having on campus?
Yeah. Finance is an interesting discipline. It's a combination of math and specific knowledge, but also it's a liberal art type of endeavor. To make a decision, you have to make a decision regarding taking a risk. You have to pull through from all sorts of sources of information. And also, you have to understand human nature. The technology, the products, all sorts of things would change, but one, human nature doesn't change. And there are a few rules, basic rules, fundamental rules on how to deal with risk that also don't change. Finance has always been on the cutting edge of high technology. It has always been. It's no news that now everybody's talking AI, right? Everybody's talking fintech, but finance industry has always been on the cutting edge of technology. But the nature of the business did not change because human nature does not change, right? It's this attitude. What do you do? How do you calculate how you are paid for the risk you are taking? It's always about fear and greed. Right? So these are fundamental things that have to be learned. So we first teach fundamentals, right? We try to stay on the cutting edge and encourage students to be conversant in the new technology because they will be perceived like the new people, the young guys who are supposed to bring the new technologies in their organizations. We try to keep the technologies we have in the trading room up to date, but we don't automatically join the song and dance AIEIO song and dance, right? It's nice, but we've seen this in the past, right? I lived through the dot-com bubble where putting a .com at the end of the name of your company would suddenly double the valuation of the company. It was a good change. It was a paradigm shift, if we want to use fancy words, but it took some time, right? So we don't just jump on the latest trend. We follow it. We looked at it, but we still emphasize the fundamentals and understanding the basics of finance and understanding human nature and how people behave in these markets.
Makes complete sense. And don't worry, Eddie, we're not saying anything about salary.com when we talk about the .com bubble. But
No,
I will say one thing that I think is really powerful about Bentley, and then I would love to talk about the admissions process because I see lots of questions in the chat about that, which is something I think that distinguishes Bentley from other places is that Bentley is a business university that houses business disciplines like finance under the same umbrella as arts and science disciplines. And what's really powerful about that, you're going to be like, Emma, that's really boring. Why are you talking about this? That sounds like institutional structure, which, yes, but I'll explain why I think this is interesting. What I think is beautiful about that is in these moments where there are paradigm shifts in the world, we can bring different disciplines together really easily to ensure that our students are thinking about, as Florin is saying, both the fundamentals and the shifts from lots of angles. An example of that might be something like the new fintech track, which it was designed as a collaboration between the finance department and the computer information systems department. So we have folks from finance who are talking about fintech from that angle. And then we have folks in our computer information systems group talking about the actual kind of technical side of it, of DeFi and things of that nature. And I think, Florin, I would argue, as an outsider looking in, that that kind of combination lets our students get the most out of learning in these moments, whereas you said maybe the shift is big for a while, it shifts back, but they then have the fundamental skill of, okay, well, maybe the next shift is in a technology space from a computer information systems lens, and they can apply that knowledge to whatever the next thing is. Or if they take leadership coursework or they take ethics coursework, or that's at least infused into the conversation because they can easily go to a seminar about that. It just helps them build a broader understanding of the industry and skill set beyond just a standalone finance mindset.
that's absolutely right. We also students in the curriculum, there are one or two really elective classes, right? Basically, can take anything with which is at the graduate level, 600 or 700. There are some students who even travel to study business in London or Scotland, or there is some flexibility built in, and of course. We are a school which is focused on business and finance, but we also have some philosophy, have some computer science, have other departments which might be instrumental in developing that type of rounded personality who's able to handle risk and make decisions under uncertain conditions.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Kyle, I see in the chat a ton of questions about applying, which makes me think that Florin and Eddie have been very compelling in their description of the program. And so we'd love your help, Kyle, understanding what is the path towards application, what scholarship opportunities exist, and so on.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing insights about the program. Happy to guide through the application process. Hopefully I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, so for next steps. So for those of you interested in applying, we use a system called Business Cast for external applicants, and then we have an internal application for alumni. Our application process is pretty streamlined. We require a copy of your resume. We do also like to see your LinkedIn. We really want to understand your professional work experience and how it might relate to the program and set you up for success. We require one letter of recommendation. You have an option to submit a second letter of recommendation. This could be a professor if you're a recent graduate, or it could be a manager or supervisor. We just ask for no friends or family. There is one essay that's required. You will have a couple of options to pick from within the application. Just choose the essay you like best. We are looking for strong communication skills. Business is founded on communication, so we're really looking at that. And then you have an option for a personal statement. I always say the optional personal statement is an opportunity for you to provide more context or more information that isn't standard to the application. And so if you want to explain a particular situation or a unique experience, if you want to talk about your passion, about why you're interested in pursuing finance, the optional statement of purpose is a wonderful way to include that information. GMAT, GRE, this is a great way for you to make your application more competitive, or if you have concerns about your academic performance, this is a way to demonstrate that academic rigor. It is optional, so you do not need to submit a GMAT or GRE to be considered, but this is a great way to help your application stand out, or like I said, address a potential weakness in your application. For those of you who might have completed your education outside of the US in a non-native English-speaking country, we do require English language test score. We accept all the major exams, so the TOEFL, the IELTS, Pearson, Duolingo. You can find a series of requirements in terms of test score ranges on our websites under the FAQs, or you can just reach out to us and we can help you through that. And then we require a copy of all of the transcripts from the universities you've attended. Again, if you've completed your education outside of the US, we require a course-by-course transcript evaluation. We accept any member evaluation from the NACES.org website. Most common ones we receive are World Education Services West, though I would recommend holding off on that right now because there is currently a strike in Canada with the Postal Service. Is another common one we receive, and the evaluation company, formerly known as Spantran, are all common ones, but any NACES member works for those transcript evaluations. Scholarship. So I know this is a big question that we get a lot. I'm happy to share that we offer scholarships to the vast majority of our applicants. It is a competitive-based award. We refer to it as merit-aid scholarship. To qualify for it during the application, it's going to ask you, would you like to be considered for merit aid? Just say yes. It is based on your application documents, so you do want to make sure that you're submitting the best documents you can. And the award ranges vary based on your competitive profile, the number of candidates we receive each semester, but it acts as a tuition discount that reduces your overall cost of tuition. We do also offer graduate assistantships for fall applicants. These are year-long commitments. We have a limited number of roles, and basically what they do is they allow you to work on campus in an assigned role, typically for one of our departments, and provide you with some grant funding for your work that you complete on campus. It's typically around 15 hours of work per week, but this will help to provide a little bit of income. Aside from the graduate assistantships, we do also have a very robust student employment office. And so any enrolled student, once you have your credentials, you're able to view all the different departments that are hiring on campus. Literally, like every department on campus pretty much hires graduate students for roles. You can work up to 20 hours per week. I also am a double Falcon like Eddie, and I can tell you right now, I worked in 3 different departments when I was completing my degree. So there is a lot of opportunity for those of you who are looking to work on campus. All right, and so then application deadlines. Our spring and fall applications are both currently open. For the spring intake, we're really looking to have all the applications in by early December. This way we can get your decisions released and you can begin by the 3rd week of January. We are releasing decisions on a rolling basis right now. So once you get a fully completed application in, every 2 weeks, we're trying to get those decisions out, if not earlier. Our fall intake is a little bit longer. We have multiple priority rounds for this intake. Currently, our priority round 1 is for November 15th. Priority rounds are a really great way to get your decision early. They give you top considerations for both admissions and scholarships decisions. They also give you more time to navigate your decision, to ask questions, to meet any requirements, especially if you're an international student and you want to navigate the immigration process. So priority rounds are a really great way to kind of get a jump start on preparing for your graduate studies. I would really try to aim for priority round 1, 2, or 3 if you can. They will just give you the most amount of time and consideration, so that they can be important. If for any reason you can't meet those deadlines, reach out to us. We're happy to work with you and provide you updates on where everything's at. But ultimately, we just want to make sure that you're able to get your decision and get set up successfully. And all these deadlines can be viewed on our website as well. And so staying in touch. So, we appreciate you all joining this session, learning about our programs, what we have to offer, getting introduced to some of the faculty and alumni that we have in the program, or myself and Emma's support structures. But there's other ways to connect with us as well. If you have your phone ready, you can pull it out and scan it with your camera to pull up the QR code. But we actively post on our social media accounts, especially platforms like LinkedIn, where it's a key feature of the business world in the US. You can set up consultations with our admissions staff or graduate ambassadors, which are actually current students. We post and share videos on YouTube about different sessions like these or events that we have going on. So there's a lot of really great ways to get connected. And then for those of you who might be working professionals, we do also offer wonderful executive and professional education courses. This is a great way for you to sample what Bentley has to offer, as well as to begin networking with other professionals who might be in similar situations. And so really great ways to stay connected with us. We do encourage you to reach out. One of the benefits to being a smaller university is that we're very personable and we have time for you. So feel free to ask any additional questions you have. We'd like to open it up for Q&A. And then if you think of anything after the fact, I am a main point of contact. You can just reach me at applygrad@bentley.edu. Happy to support.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. I'd love, while we're waiting, if in case folks have questions they want to put in the Q&A, Eddie, I'd love for you to share some final thoughts, and then Florin, I'm going to come to you for final thoughts about, Eddie, in your case. I'd love to hear kind of what you've talked a lot about, what Bentley means to you and what you learned, and how, the kind of person you left. But looking back on your degree and now in your seat as a professional, what are some really key moments in your learning that have benefited you, that the folks on the line should be considering as they undertake this kind of journey? What should they be trying to include in their studies?
That's a very good question. Okay, but so I have a mission about this, but I think this is really important. I think diversity is really something really important that Bentley really endorse, and also I think it really benefits everyone. So actually Bentley, although Bentley is not a large university, but we do have a lot of diversity on campus. So when I was a double Falcon, so I like both in my bachelor degree journey and also in my master degree journey, I have a lot of friends from different culture, different languages, and they have different perspectives. So I think this is something really benefited me at Bentley, because I get the chance to know and understand how the global economy and global business is being built. And also there are so many stories they are willing to share about their economy, their business, and different interesting companies. And those stories and those real life experience really facilitate whatever you have learned in lectures, in trading room, and also, like as I mentioned for many times, there's also great faculty members and also professors on campus. And one more thing I haven't mentioned is the career service that Bentley offers. So since my sophomore year, I started to benefit from the career services. So I know like nowadays a lot of people just use AI to review their resume and make edits, but still I think it's really important and really helpful to use and also take advantage of the great career services that Bentley is offering, because it has the Career Center has great faculty members that have many years of experience helping students with their resume building, with finding an internship. This is something AI cannot help. So you can build a very good resume, but they know if you're taking different career paths, they know how to make your resume more aligned with what the industry is looking for. And also they can teach you the hands-on experience about how to land an internship, how to build connections with the industry professionals. So I basically built my resume through career service. I went to both the undergrad career service and graduate career service, and my resume, they make different kind of markers on my resume, and it's as detailed as like a single word, how to use a different vocabulary for that. And so they're very detail oriented, and that really benefits me because that gives me a chance to talk through my experience with other people. You can think that as part of an interview because you're sharing your experience, right? But you have many times the experience sharing with career service office faculty members. Now you feel very confident about your past experience and how to make that into a storytelling technique. So yeah, combining everything together, diversity, very important because you got to learn from different people, and also career service, which Bentley, now we're getting back to ranking. I think like during my time, Bentley is always number one in the United States for career service. So yeah, definitely take advantage of the number one career service in the nation. And it can really help you with both how do you want to tell the story you want to tell, and also how to put everything in writing to make it very straightforward for other people to understand who you are.
Thanks, Eddie. Another thing that folks do from a kind of career pathing perspective, Florin, and I want to ask this question from the Q&A, is someone is asking, since the program is CFA affiliated, does completing the MSF give any advantages or support if I plan to pursue the CFA designation, such as curricular overlap, exam prep help? Kind of how does our program prepare people for the CFA designation should they want to go down that path?
We are fully aware of the requirements for the CFA exam faculty, and the construction of syllabi is informed by this requirements for the CFA exam. We actively encourage students to get that certification. There are possibility of participating in the meetings of the CFA chapter in Boston. Some classes actually have during exams stuff taken from the CFA exam, so CFA-like questions. I certainly do in my derivatives class. I think it's a great thing to do. It's a professional certification. Nobody's asking you anymore once you have the CFA what grade you got in accounting, 3 or whatever. And I think the classes are very much in line and good preparation for the CFA. If you do well in these classes, you are also working towards the CFA, and the sooner the better. I would take the exams because life happens and things get postponed.
Yes. Lauren, I'd love for you to close us out, if you don't mind, talking a little bit about what makes a successful student in our MSF. Are there any qualities of folks that you think really are successful here at Bentley, and who feels like they belong in our program?
See, for somebody who is truly interested in finance and willing to learn, right? You don't have to have a background as undergrad in finance. You have to show willingness to learn, to be open-minded. The ability somebody who wants to actually use all the resources that we have available, that helps create some common sense and ability to talk shop during job interviews and develop as a person. It's not only about taking classes. Classes are very important, but learning finances is more than that. So somebody who, again, I would say the main purpose is to be interested in this area and to be curious about finance and in essence how the world works, because if you understand finance you get a good perspective on how the world works, and you'll take it from there. I mean, you'll develop the basic skills, and you're very likely to find a decent, at least decent job, if not excellent job in the financial industry if you put the right amount of work. But I would say he's the type of person who is open-minded and willing to learn and to study. If you don't have the number crunching capabilities, you'll learn them. Maybe you're not going to pursue financial analytics like Eddie, but you'll do something else. Because there are people very successful I know people very successful in the industry who probably don't know the theory more than I would say the level of the textbook we use in one of the fundamental classes, right? I mean the basic classes, and still they are successful because they like the industry and they learned. It's half theory and half is practice.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that we had this conversation today. Our MSF is a really distinctive program with really distinguished graduates. Eddie is a great example of someone who relatively recently graduated and is in a really powerful career. We certainly have lots of graduates who are at all levels of the finance industry who are interested in supporting our students as they navigate their careers. And so thank you, Florin and Eddie, for giving us such great detail on the program. Thank you, Kyle, for talking about the admissions process. As Kyle said, if there's nothing else you take from this hour you spent with us, it's that we want to get to know you and support your individual process. I saw some great questions in the Q&A that are really specific to personal experience. Kyle is here to support. I am here to support you in determining kind of what is the path towards Bentley. Florin is here to support as you both think about Bentley, but also as you get here on what track might be appropriate for you and how do you want to make your career. And so we really want to get to know you as an individual, and we really hope that you'll take advantage of the opportunity to continue conversation with us. We hope to see you at one of our future events. We have lots of things like mock classes and different conversations about careers and career outcomes and support here at Bentley. As Kyle said, our YouTube is hopping. Lots of things you can watch there if you're interested. And otherwise, we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.